Welcome into the NBC Sports live football betting Q&A. And as you can tell, me and Eric Froton are together because we are in Indiana ahead of Ohio State at Notre Dame. There's Vaughn. Vaughn, how are you doing today? Tell me something good about your bets. Maybe you cashed a ticket yesterday.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. I actually bet you're over 53.5 in the Wisconsin-Purdue game. And I said, I'm not going to fade Brad Thomas because I owe that man a pizza, and I can't do it 2 weeks in a row. So, it's been a good week, man. I have a good weekend planned. A lot of the college football today, some little day trips, not as fun as Notre Dame, Ohio State for you two gentlemen. But let me hear and let the people hear what happened last night with you guys. What was West Lafayette like?
Yeah, man. I'll take this and then I'll kick it to Eric. West Lafayette was it was interesting. You know, when they say that Purdue is in the middle of nothing but pasture and cornfields, they are absolutely right. We would drive off campus to go find a restaurant, and we would just see more cornfields and restaurants. I was a little disappointed in the Purdue faithful, though. Driving around campus, it didn't feel like a game day. It felt like just another day of people at class. Definitely the stadium did fill up, but I don't know, every college town that I've been to on a Friday, I feel like they let people out at 12 and it's just like a party the whole time. But that we didn't really have that. So I think that was probably what was missing for me. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, well, you understand. These are engineering students. These are some of the upper crust of society. These kids have responsibilities on Fridays, Brad. That being said, yeah, West Lafayette had a great time at the game last night. First time, and hopefully I will see it again, but getting to see Shout after the third quarter.
That was tight.
Otis Day and the Knights, had a nice showing from the bachelor party, Animal House.
Yes.
Wrong 80s movie. But had a great time. Really looking forward to South Bend, where we can get out there and, see the sights and sounds after we get done putting out some winners.
Yeah. Vaughn, I will say this. It's really cool to be able to go from one campus to another and watch back-to-back games. But I'm glad that it's not like a 3:30 kick because I want to experience the college town excitement. Go to a bar, maybe check out the locals, see how they're feeling ahead of inviting Ohio State.
Exactly. Sign some autographs as well. Invite some people from X and Instagram out. Do those type of things. But you guys have an awesome weekend. I'm jealous, but I will see you guys later in the season. I'll let you guys know I put in my request for Michigan, Ohio State, and then Penn State and Michigan.
Let's say Michigan. Ooh, that's the one I want. But
I'm thinking Penn State's coming for the crown, baby.
Oh man, that game's. I think today will tell us. I will say that let's kick into the first topic of the day. Kind of transition a little bit over because I'm excited to talk about this game later. But my topic is, man, is it time to panic about Nick Saban in Alabama? And the only reason I ask that is I think there's this weird notion that in media, we have to talk about the big dogs. We have to talk about the teams that get the clicks. And what gets the clicks is talking about Nick Saban and maybe his demise or his dynasty. I don't think that people should worry about Nick Saban. Like, if you look at the statistics, Alabama has the youngest starting roster in the SEC. With that said, you have a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds you think they're going to be at a competitive level just because they have Nick Saban as their quarterback. They're starting freshmen on the offensive line, which is automatically a recipe for disaster. I don't care how good you are going to be. It kind of reminds me of that very first strong recruiting class for Georgia, where Georgia had a couple freshmen on the offensive line, and they ended up losing like 3 or 4 games that season. And there was no pressure, obviously, because no one really cared about Kirby Smart's tenure at Georgia yet. But I don't think it's time to panic. And even if Nick Saban rattles off back-to-back or three loss seasons, like, there's always that fear that all he needs to do is put it together a little bit and they'll win a national championship.
Yeah, as someone who obviously bet Alabama last week, I was panicking throughout the whole first half. There was nothing positive to get from them. We had talked about, maybe they weren't playing for Jalen Milroe, or they were playing for Jalen Milroe, and that's why we saw Buckner in Alabama look so bad. But we've also talked about now with the NIL deals and how that's affected a lot of these teams and kind of catching up with recruiting, being able to offer a lot more money. And that's letting teams like Alabama or Clemson, who, has a really big game on deck today, kind of fall back and, not be as good as we've been, seeing lately. So, if they lose today, which we're going to talk about in detail, I think we do have to panic a little bit on Alabama and say, are they off? Are they falling off a little bit? But and for my topic, before Eric gets into his or rebuttals, I'm coming at both you guys today. I'm coming at your necks. Okay. Now I'm in PA, you're in Indiana, but why in the world, after last week, would you guys rank Tennessee over Florida in our top 25 poll? And this is not the first time you guys have done this. It's the second time this season. What's the thought process? Walk me through this. And the AP poll did this too.
You go first, Eric, and then I'll go.
The AP, but it's because the AP poll is right. That's why.
No.
Obviously, Tennessee had a difficult showing at Florida, and deservedly so. I mean, Billy Napier, year 2 has done a nice job bringing things around after a pretty disappointing Utah performance, and props to Graham Mertz as well. I mean, I surprisingly took his over. I think it's the first one I've ever taken in my life on his passing yardage, but Graham Mertz worked out, respect. I appreciate it. Yeah. So that being said, I do think that overall this Tennessee team does have time to kind of bring this together. I think they have more upside in terms of talent across their overall roster. So with Josh Heupel as the coach, that's a big factor too. I do trust him more than I trust Billy Napier. I do think you'll see Tennessee having a better season at the end of the year when all said and done.
Yeah, I don't put as much stock as losing on the road. It's tough, right? Like you always say, this team beat another team, but we have to factor in that road environment. If we look at the 247 composite talent ratings, Tennessee's it has a higher rating. We know that doesn't mean much as the season goes on, but if I'm putting the two in front of each other on a neutral site game, I have Tennessee winning probably 8 out of the 10 times. It was a great showing from Florida, a bad showing from Tennessee, but we'll see as the season goes on. I'm still a little, maybe a little snake bitten even though I bet on Utah by that Utah game when it comes to ranking Florida. Even that was a road game too. I just think that overall it's just a better team.
Yeah, well, I definitely, Florida has all the edges in that series against Tennessee, so it was no surprise that they came with the victory again. But I want to hear your process because this week, next poll, people can go on NBCSports.com and see our poll for this week. And with all these 6 top 25 matchups, we're going to see where they go up next week. So there's teams like Oregon State and Washington State where you guys might do the same thing again. And that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to check you guys. UCLA, Utah, Ole Miss, Alabama. So, with that being said, we could definitely – you got a rebuttal here, Brad?
No, I think we'll be able to see these ones on the field a little bit more clear. Just basically with the way the teams have played. But let's talk about these most bet handles from BetMGM. Thank you for the sponsorship, BetMGM. If you guys haven't checked them out, they're the king of all sports books. Colorado coming in number 1 as the most bet team, Colorado plus 21. And I know that Colorado Moneyline is receiving 99% of the bets. Obviously a little misleading because who's going to be betting Oregon Moneyline? Florida State coming in at number 2 at minus 2.5. Line moved from a pick'em to minus 2.5. And Notre Dame plus 3.5. This one's really interesting. Obviously, this was the biggest outside of Colorado, was the biggest line move.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here. Yeah, I was about to say, I think we might have lost you guys there for a second.
Our mic went out. I just want to talk about one thing. Cade Stover over 27.5 receiving yards is the most bet player prop at BetMGM. I wonder if any of that kind of happened because that was one of the NBC Sports official plays for BetMGM.
Yeah,
and so. As well, talking about Colorado. There were a couple of metrics that were very interesting coming out of BetMGM yesterday, heading into today. Specifically, Colorado is actually taking more money than any NFL game on the slate this week. For all you who do NFL as well as NCAA, that is a extremely rare occurrence. So it just goes to show the Dion effect right now in the betting space and the college football space affecting the entire landscape.
And this isn't the first time that's happened with Colorado either, but everyone wants to watch Colorado and bet Colorado. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Even my uncles are getting into throwing, $5 or $10 on the Colorado money lines. And they're like, you think it's, worth? I'm like, of course. I mean, this could be a historic season for Dion and company. You see the competitive edge. Last week we talked about a little bit, but the rivalry stuff with Colorado State, we weren't surprised. That game was closer than what it should have been. But this game today, we'll see a lot from what Colorado's really made of. But 3 touchdowns is a lot of points for a team with 4- and 5-star recruits all over the field.
Yeah, good segue there. We have a lot of top 25 matchups to cover, so we'll go with the first one. Number 19, Colorado at number 10, Oregon. This line, I'd suggest you shop it. I've seen some -20s and a halves. I've seen some -21s, -21 and a halves, but the total has been pretty constant at 70 and a half. I'll kick things off here. I have 2 props. I know we have a lot to go through, so I won't be long, but I would probably lean closer to Colorado plus 21 and a half. I think that you said it, 3 touchdowns, winning by more than 3 touchdowns is a lot, especially with the number 5 ranked passing attack in offensive success rate. But I'm going with Troy Franklin, over 80 and a half receiving yards. He's hit this in all 3 games. No Travis Hunter for Colorado. I just think that this is going to be the Bo Nix show. Bo Nix is going to ball. I said if Bo Nix opens at 310 or better, I was betting Bo Nix. So I went and took Bo Nix passing over 308 and a half yards. Colorado allowed almost 400 yards to the air last week. It's going to be one-way traffic. And I don't mean one-way traffic in terms of it's going to be all Oregon. What I mean is despite Colorado's lack of run defense, I do think Oregon is going to find success through the air because of Colorado's lack of pass rush, which means Bo Nix is going to have time to sit back and pick his targets.
Absolutely. I like Shedeur Sanders. Just came out this morning on, if you get creative, you can look around. -1.5 rushing yards prop just came out. A little Saturday special for us because in the first 2 games against TCU and Nebraska, he went for -32 and -30 rushing yards. Last week against, obviously, a G5 opponent, in-state Colorado State, he had a whopping 3, okay? Now he's playing, obviously, Oregon. We got Brandon Douglas coming at him. He's not a running QB. I can't believe they put it out at -1.5 yards. If you can get it, take that under. Also, one more. Marquise Irving, put it in my column this week. He opened up around like 19 and a half. I think he's at 21 and a half receiving yards right now. With this game expected to be 70 and a half, we're looking at that over under. There's going to be plenty of points. You're going to see the 205-pound, 5'10" Marquise Irving get receiving work. He is the receiving option. He does it every week. He clears this line. I can't believe they made it so low. Once again, over Marquise Irving receiving yards.
I like those plays a lot for you guys. I'm sorry I dropped out. I got the PA Wi-Fi working for me right now, and also it's starting to storm here.
Oh, no.
Hopefully you guys get better weather there. No. And Eric, was that right? Was it under -1.5 yards for Sanders? Is that
correct?
Right?
Under -1.5. Correct.
Wow. Well, that's something. That's definitely something to consider there. But I've never seen that before. Not even from Spencer Petras. So that's pretty cool to see. I'm going to go with a lean of mine here, something I sprinkled some lunch money on and some parlay money. Both teams to score 30-plus points. Got that at plus 210 at MGM, which was actually the best odds of the 3 sports books that I actually shop at, no lie. So that was kind of incentivized to get the 2-to-1 odds. But this is a game where both teams are going to be scoring. Like Brad said, Bo Nix should have no problem moving the ball. Obviously, you guys are both on Sanders, too, to some degree. So I think that we see teams running up the score. It's going to be Colorado that needs to reach the 30, but the back door is wide open here for Colorado to get this. So that's the way that I'd be looking in this game. And I really need your guys' opinion on the next game because I don't want to bet Alabama anymore. I'm done. I said I was a 25% career better in Alabama. Make it 22% now. Okay. And we're not going to get any worse. So honestly, guys, if it was up to me, the only ways I could look here is Ole Miss plus the 7 or the over. Jalen Milroe being the quarterback obviously incentivizes Alabama's offense to play better. They should be able to score 20, 30 points in this game. Ole Miss, up-tempo, fast-paced offense more than anybody else in college football. That's probably the way that I would look in this game. But like I said, guys, I'm done betting Alabama football. Tell us what you got.
I will go with 2 plays. I already told myself that I'm taking both quarterbacks rushing over in hopes that,
I like that.
both. There's a potential to lose both, but I'd be pretty shocked to see both lose. Jackson Dart over 44.5 rushing yards. I know Eric is on the under, but we do have a two-yard middle that can absolutely smash 45 or 46 rushing yards in Jackson Dart caches for both of us. It's going to be, for Jackson Dart, he's going to have the attempts. It's going to be how few or how many sacks Alabama gets on him. Jalen Milroe rushing over. I do genuinely believe that Tommy Rees is going to adapt and help Milroe run more design runs, because when you have a guy who's that dynamic, that electric, why would you take away his best weapon? And then if you have teams that are, just sitting on wide receivers playing bump and run coverage, press coverage, like, because they know Jalen Milroe's not going to hurt them, you have to mix it up. Like, I don't want to sound like Stephen A. Smith and say the same old that everyone's saying, run RPOs, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't care if they run RPOs as much as the other person, because his intermediate passing is not as great as people would believe. He's actually 10 for 14 in passes over 20 yards with 0 turnover-worthy balls, where if you look at passes in between 5 to 10 yards, he already has 2 turnovers and a ton of turnover-worthy balls. A pretty low play action completion percentage. So those kind of do worry me. I lean Ole Miss plus the 7 here. I actually teased them up. I do not tease college football often, but these were 2 numbers. I'm going to talk about it in my best bet. But I'll kick it over to you, Eric, and tell me what you like in this game.
Well, this is something we talked about yesterday as well at the game. We were sort of going over things. Jason McClellan, running back, Alabama, under 61.5 rushing yards. If anybody watched the game last week against South Florida, you know that Jason McClellan was unable to get this Alabama offense rolling, make people miss, and help that young neophyte offensive line that is still coming together, get a little bit of yardage. You have to make something happen, as a running back. You're not always going to get these clear lines, clear lanes where you're going to be able to run right through them and gallivant to the touchdowns. It doesn't work that way. We saw Roydell Williams come in, same class as Jason McClellan. It's been that consistent. It's been those 1-2, from that class. And now Roydell comes out, drops $120 and 2 touchdowns, basically saves the game for Alabama. I can't see Nick Saban going up against, our boy Kiffin talking smack.
Yeah.
Like he does. I mean, the guy is a great cerebral head coach. He doesn't mind the bulletin board material. They know they got to come out and bring it today. If Jason McClellan comes out, and I think he will, because he's been rather pedestrian all season, he comes out and isn't getting the job done, you're going to see Roydell Williams quick. And Nick Saban also, in his press conference this week, alluded to we're going to see more freshmen. Now, he didn't name anybody specifically, but I got to think Justice Haynes is who he's talking about here after what we saw last week. So I think with 3 heads in that backfield now, you're hard-pressed to get 62 out of McClellan against a good Ole Miss defense, given the circumstances.
Yeah, what would you play this down to? Because we got people in the chat right now saying they already took down Shedeur Sanders unders everywhere. So obviously people are going to get on these plays. What's the lowest line you'd play?
For McClellan, I'd probably go down to 55. I don't think he'll drop below that because he's still the nominal starter, and it's been out there all week. When stuff gets settled, we're already here, 11:20 on Saturday. Well, it's done. I'm surprised that even Sanders, that was up this morning. I saw that on Prize Picks. And evidently, as soon as we went live, they took it down. So I apologize. It was right before the show that was up there. So
I will piggyback off the McClellan. I think he's going to get those first couple starts. You're going to see him, kind of get that ceremonious, leader start. But I don't know if we're going to get enough push. And it's not going to be his fault. It's not going to be his fault why he doesn't get carries. It's going to be the offensive line's fault. Did you anything you want to add to this game, Vaughn?
No, I definitely think those are all the right angles. Obviously, Alabama's owned Ole Miss in the past, but Ole Miss kept it close last year, lost 30-24 at home, so I think it will be close. I did want to point out some trends and facts for the next game we're talking about. It's top rank matchup, UCLA at Utah. The line actually has come down. We saw 4.5s and 5.5s for Utah. It's come down to 3.5. Now it looks like Nate Johnson, last time I checked, will be the quarterback for Utah, and he added another layer of mobility to that team that Bryson Barnes did not give them. And I think that's a huge key for the Utes. But obviously, this game will be at elevation. Utah's won 5 of the last 6 against them. UCLA won last year, breaking a 5-game winning streak. But they also had DTR and Charbonnet, who we all talked up a lot last season. I don't like the quarterback. I don't like the offense nearly as much for UCLA. So if I was going to play this game, I'm getting a live look on Utah. Kind of get the money line at, minus 130 or better. Maybe some plus money if they go down early or something. But I definitely think the running ability of Nate Johnson gives them a layer that they were missing earlier in the season. What do you got, Brad?
I don't have this. I do lean UCLA just because I think that I shouldn't be able to get their money line as high. It's just tough trusting a freshman quarterback on the road in conference. So I end up passing there.
Cool. I'm going with Kyle Ford's under 30.5 receiving yards. Kyle Ford, USC transfer, coming in 6'2", 6'3", 220. Guy who had 2 knee injuries, bad ones. And to this point in the season, he's gone 1 for 3 against this 30.5 line. And last game, he went 1 for 3 for 13 yards and got a drop. So he's only had 8 targets all season. He isn't a starter. He's a part-timer, so he's getting limited reps. And to put him out here at 30.5 against Utah and their secondary with my cousin, Ben Bishop, who is going to, Cole Bishop, who will be an All-American this year at safety, patrolling. There's no way that my cousin is going to allow Kyle Ford to get 30.
He's got your back today.
I talked, but Cole will not let that happen.
Eric, found it on Prize Picks. What to pair Sanders with?
I would pair it with. We got a few here. You're gonna have some options. McClellan, I thought, was still up there at 55.5. I like Amari Daniels under, and if you can get, I got my best bet coming up here. So I would suggest pairing it with my best bet if we can. If we want to go that direction, I'll put it out there right now. I'm going Peyton Thorne under 22.5 rushing yards. Reason being, Peyton Thorne at Michigan State, dude, he didn't run at all. At all. Last week, they're playing an FCS team. He goes for a $120 and 2 touchdowns. It's a total outlier. He didn't do anything in the previous 2 games. And now you're up there against Texas A&M. You're going to drop him at 22.5. He doesn't run the ball. He doesn't run. He's a passer. They have a two QB system, too. When it's time to run, in comes Robbie Ashford. He handles that. When it's not, it's pass time with Peyton Thorne. You want him to get to 23 when we're talking about college, where sacks count against rushing yards? Best bet. Pair it.
What time's that game kick off?
I love that. Should we just hit our best bets now while we're just at it?
Yeah, we might as well hit our best bets now.
Roll.
It kind of goes to it anyway, and I know people want to be able to get them in. Go ahead and give me yours, Vaughn. I liked yours. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, you got to decide which one you like more, because it's like we're down by 1 point, but we're going for 2, baby. All right, we're going for the win. One of my lines did move, but it's fine. We're going to start with the one that hasn't moved yet. So this is my original best bet. We're going Rutgers, team total under 9.5 at Michigan. We're doing it again, ladies and gentlemen. We're going 3 weeks straight on Michigan Wolverines. Now, this is a big game for them. It may not seem like it, but it's the homecoming for them, the return of Jim Harbaugh, and their Big Ten season opener. Those 3 factors are going to have the stadium rocking today, although it's a noon game. In the last 4 times that Rutgers has gone to Michigan, 10.7 points per game. So it is right on the number here. But if you've watched Rutgers' offense this year, they've played some pretty inept teams. But you shut down the quarterback, you shut down pretty much the entire offense, and that's what Michigan's really thrived on in the first 3 weeks of the season. They've only allowed one touchdown. So nobody should be having a team totals around 10. And for the second best bet, Brad gave me some good news here. And once I tweeted it out or X'd it out, whatever they call it nowadays, the line has moved. It was Illinois minus 14 out to 16.5 now. I still think it's playable at 17. I think that's the number because Illinois will kick a field goal or 2 in this game, I'm sure. But the real story is Casey Thompson, the quarterback for FAU, is out, former Nebraska quarterback. And with that, you got to back up a Daniel Richardson, who has completion percentage of 59% and negative 122 rushing yards.
Let me go ahead and jump in because I think this is hilarious. Vaughn cut out for a second, so I want to jump in here. I thought this line would have been wild even with Casey Thompson in the game. And then he tears ACL. Now they're going to an experienced quarterback on the road. It's pretty funny to me. You got anything more else to add there, Vaughn? I just wanted to pick up while you were.
It's just the perfect get-right spot for them. I mean, backup quarterback, you've played 3 really good teams so far, which much, much better offenses. And, Toledo, Kansas, and Penn State. This should be no problem for Illinois. So Rutgers under team total 9.5. Illinois minus 14 out of the 16.5. Best bets 2 for 2. Here we go.
Gotta believe that Gavin Wimsatt struggles against Michigan. I would probably pair his interception with something on Prize Picks. I believe it's too negative to play. DM Sports. I am on the over. Gave that out yesterday. Not only in my Discord channel, but also on Twitter, I believe. But I gave it out on Betting Big. It's a good time to talk about it. If you guys ever want to know what we're betting in Big Ten games, go on the NBCSports.com website. Go over to the college football section. You will find Vaughn and myself give out every bet for every Big Ten team. So that can kind of help you there. But I'll explain this a little bit later in the show. Let me go to my best bet. It's a parlay. Like I said, I don't like to tease totals too often. Notre Dame +8, Ole Miss +13. I just think that Notre Dame I have them really high in my power rankings in comparison to Ohio State. Both really high, both really close. If you look at EPA margin, it's 3 versus 2. There's just so many numbers here that suggest that this line should be closer to a pick'em. Obviously, it's hard to bring this line to a pick'em when the look-ahead line was +8 already, which means this is the original line, +8.5. I think Kyle McCord, even if they do win this game and Kyle McCord looks great, it's not ignorant of us to think that Kyle McCord struggles in his first true tough road game. This is going to be a tough environment. I was at the game last year, and Notre Dame played better than the box score showed. They were up by 3 at halftime. Obviously, Ohio State's defense shut them down in the second half and made that a non-contest. And then I like Ole Miss just getting the 13 here when I think the line is pretty sharp at 7. It gives me the extra points there. And we'll talk about this in my line sprinkles, but they could be mine. But I have +101 as my as the odds there for that. So that's again Notre Dame +8 and Ole Miss +13. Let's talk about another ranked match. Number 24 Iowa at number 7 Penn State. This line has gone up and down. Penn State right now is a 14.5 point favorite. Total set at 38.5. 2 reasons I like Iowa. Let me give you 3 actually. Number 1, I'm on Iowa +15. When you have a total of, Vaughn will tell you the stat, but when you have a total of 39 or lower, it tends to go under. Close games that, and I've now for 2 seasons, I've told you guys about this. Close games that have huge spreads are really tough to cover for the multi-touchdown favorite. Basically what they need to have happen are some negative plays for the other team, turnovers, or like turnover on downs. Another reason I like it, Iowa 6-3-1 against the spread in Beaver Stadium in their last 10 games. And last but not least, despite losing Jack Campbell and some other players to the draft, Iowa still has looked good on the defensive side of the ball. For me, they're still a top 5 unit. Penn State is still going through what I would consider growing pains. So for me, it's Iowa +15 there. This is Iowa at Penn State. Go ahead and give me your play, Eric, then we'll kick it to Vaughn.
Sure. Tight end Luke Lachey was injured and is expected to be out possibly the whole season. It's going to be an extended absence. And as we all know with Iowa, you look at the rich tradition of tight ends. You have Noah Fant, you have TJ Hawkinson, you have obviously Sam Laporta last year. When I was at the Combine this year, I talked to Sam Laporta and asked him, look, what do you think about the tight end situation next year? Is this, is Luke Lachey for real? And he couldn't stop saying enough great things about Lachey, about the offense, all that. Point is, Lachey's gone. They brought over Eric All from Michigan, tight end there, who was very good, but they have Colston Loveland there, who is going to be an NFL draft pick, to where All just realized he wasn't going to get the kind of time he needed. Transfers to Iowa. He's playing behind Lachey, but here we are. Lachey's out. Eric All steps right in to that TE1 role, which is the highest usage rate on the entire team when it comes to the passing attack. They have his former Michigan quarterback, Cade McNamara, he has a very good relationship with, at QB for Iowa. They're going to have to be in a script where they're going to throw a little bit. They throw to the tight end. At 27.5 yards for All, Lachey smoked that all season. Laporta, all last season, he was killing that line. This is one of the probably the worst underprice for a receiver this week, in my opinion. I'm going over 27.5 yards for Eric All. And you should also take a look at LaShawn Williams. I mean, their top two running backs are out. LaShawn Williams was okay last week. They played a bad team. I have never been very impressed by him. Started out at 78.5 rushing yards, actually went down to 65. I think he's even below that now. He might even be in the 50s. If you get it around 60, I'd probably even have a go with that too.
Vaughn, you got any love for this game? We might have lost Vaughn here. I will touch on Marty's statement here. I want to invite you guys to continue to ask questions. But yes, Arkansas better contain Neighbors. I was looking at Neighbors receiving over. I think that it got that. I think it got an insane boost from last week, which kind of makes it unplayable for me. I don't like backing, and I don't like backing receivers to go over when they have monster games the next week because the books bake in that extra number. But yeah, I agree. I think that Neighbors could go off against Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, last week I recommended Brian Thomas's over. He's gone over each of the first 3 weeks, but Neighbors has been nuclear.
Yeah,
I mean, he is insane. And you can look at him in almost the same vein we do Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is like the pristine wide receiver prospect of the past half decade, but just because Neighbors is probably the number 2 guy in that class doesn't mean he isn't great as well. So I think he's at around that 85 mark. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
I think it's 86 and a half. Yeah,
I don't mind. I don't think he can go under. I don't think I can do it. It's too good.
He's not a guy you can go under on,
especially against Arkansas.
Yeah,
so that's where I'm at.
Vaughn, did you have any bets or leans for Iowa at Penn State whiteout game?
I got some friends going to the game, and they're all betting Iowa plus 14.5. And I said, you guys are insane. But that's probably the side that I'd play. I like the under in that game where Cade McNamara over passing yards. He had 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards in his only start there. But that was with Michigan, not Iowa. So I'll pass on that game.
Cool. I know this is a game that you're really excited for. Number 14, Oregon State at number 21, Washington State. Oregon State is a 3-point favorite on the road. Total set at 58.5. Vaughn, kick it off.
Yeah, I had fun talking about this game with you guys, but Washington State, I think they've been very impressive. Obviously, the win over Wisconsin, which Brad called, was awesome so far this season. Cam Ward hasn't thrown an interception yet. I took the home dog, who's won 4 straight against Oregon State at home. Last time they lost there was in 2013, 2014. Doesn't matter. I was in college at that point. That's forever ago. And then the last 8 meetings, Washington State has won 7 of them. All right, so Oregon State, came up with 1 here last year. I don't think that they got better. Oregon State in all retrospects of college sports last year was awesome. They're going to take a step back this season. I think they will in football. But DJ hasn't been asked to do much against bad teams. This will be his big test on the road in a tough game. So I took Washington State plus the 3, and it'll be a part of the money line sprinkles later too. What do you got, Eric?
Well, I have a prop, as I always do, it seems. I got this early in the week as soon as it came out at 31.5 receiving yards. This has since gone up, and it will continue to do so. He missed last week, which is why this line is a little down. Anthony Fields of Gold over 39.5 receiving yards for all you Sting and Police fans out there. This is a canary in the coal mine. Gold dating back to last season. He is the wide receiver 1 for Oregon State. They're going to have to throw more than they would really like to. They want to play a somewhat slower pace and use Damian Martinez to bludgeon teams. But look, you got Wazoo here, and with Ben Arbuckle there, the protege of Zach Kittley, well known for his passing prowess, we're going to see some balls put in the air. That means that Anthony Gold is going to get some reception. He's probably going to get at least 6-7 targets. He's the number 1 guy. I'm all over it. Got him at 31.5. I think he's still a great deal at 39.5. One of the bigger movers for the receiving lines.
Vaughn touched on Cameron Ward. For those who don't know, I took Cameron Ward 250 to 1 to win the Heisman last week. I just put another small bet on him at 100 to 1. It's not insane. He'd be a dark horse candidate for me. When I make these bets too, I have my flag firmly planted on Penix. I have a lot of money on him. But when I make these smaller bets, it's not necessarily about winning them. it's about them getting invited to New York and have good hedge opportunities. You want to make sure you have at least one or two of the guys heading to New York at a good price, and then you can hedge your way and secure profit. I luckily haven't had to do that. I've had the winner so frequently recently. Pat myself on the back for that, but it's just a way of thinking about how to bet futures. But speaking of futures, the NFL is here. There are so many teams that look like they could win the Super Bowl. So if you're looking for NFL betting content, you have the dream duo in front of you. Vaughn and myself got you covered with spreads, picks, and player props all season long on NBCSports.com and on our X accounts at Mr. Brad Thomas and V Money Sports. Last week, we were so close to cashing that same game parlay. It will be dropped on NBCSports.com Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. Let's go to our next game. Give me one moment here. Our next game is the big game Saturday night on NBC Peacock at 7:30. The game that we're going to, Ohio State at Notre Dame. Ohio State down to a 3-point favorite. Total set at 54. I am going to kick this one off with my favorite bet in this one. Cade Stover over 27.5 receiving yards. He's hit this in 2 out of 3 games, but it's not like he's barely hitting this. And he's getting 7 and 8 targets per game with an ADOT of over 14. When I reached out to one of my Buck alums who's really ingrained in the program, he said that Ryan Day loves to use tight ends in big games, and we've seen that with Stover last year. So I think that Stover, this number is probably my favorite. Vaughn, kick me one of your plays, 2 of your plays, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Notre Dame plus 3.5. So you said the line came down to 3 now. Because at one point yesterday, I saw on MGM it reached Ohio State -4. And I was pretty surprised that we got to that point, but I got the 3.5 here. You talk about the quarterback edge, obviously goes to Notre Dame and Sam Hartman, who we're calling Sam Heisman now. That's my Heisman pick, Brad.
Nice.
All right. And then we're going with the Notre Dame defense. You should win the turnover battle, should have the edge, especially defensive line, in my opinion. And, comeback mode, Ohio State scares me a little because they have such great receivers and running backs, but I still think this is the signature win that Marcus Freeman and his team can get. He still lacks that. And at home against Ohio State, you really put yourself on the map because one more win against USC and Notre Dame is probably in the college football playoff no matter what. So big game for them. I'm taking them plus the points. And you know what else later.
I don't know about Eric. I don't remember, but I know that I'm on Notre Dame's season win total. So this would be massive.
I am over.
Yeah, I think you're over as well, right? Yeah, that would be massive win. Consensus is looking around -3. If you guys like Notre Dame still, I would suggest going to FanDuel. There's some 3.5s, and it looks like DraftKings has some 3.5s, but pretty much everyone else, BetMGM is at -3, -115. Give me your plays, Eric.
I just want to remind everybody, you can't spell Stover without over, can you?
No, you can't.
That's right. Right. This is what we're here for. I know. And the 3 of us, it appears, because if I'm not mistaken, Vaughn, you were pretty complimentary towards Sam Hartman. Sam, as we call him around here, Sam the Hitman Hartman.
Yes.
And so was Brad. Brad, you got him at 240. I got him at 240 earlier in the week. Looks like he's trading around 249 right now. I still think that's too low.
Yes.
Guys, 6-year vet quarterback, all-time leading passer in Wake Forest history. Okay, he transfers over here. They've looked great. They've had 4 games. He didn't just step out on the field, and the pitch. They've had 4 games. He's performed flawlessly in a big game, Ohio State, where they're going to have to do as much as they possibly can. I can't see this being a slow-paced game. I think you see Sam Hartman, real coming out party on a national level, over 249.5 passing yards.
Is this the play we go for our second squad ride of the season? Because I just sent the money to Brad.
Let's squad ride. Okay.
Let's go. Squad ride, baby.
Squad ride.
And by the hair on our backs, did we hit the first one? And Jeff Sims before he got hurt.
Yes.
So let's go.
We got excited. I agree. In the market right now. I'm going to take it
247. I want every yard I can get.
247. Okay. All right.
I got it at 240.
We'll make.
I'll put it in squad ride. If you can kick us over to the next segment on that.
Yes, for sure. Our next segment was actually supposed to be the best bets, which we already did. Which is impressive that we got that out the way early, in my opinion. But let's go to the People's Parlay. Let's go there. But I also have I told Brad I was going to do this. I didn't tell Eric, though. So, Eric, this is for you, my friend.
Oh.
If you lose the People's Parlay this week, that would mean 0-4. We're inviting the viewers to fill the third leg. Are you putting Oklahoma minus 14 on the line for that?
I am. Oklahoma is going to absolutely crabopple their opponent this week. Yeah, well, I got a little Simpsons in me. Is there anything wrong with that?
I wore the hoodie this morning, baby. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, brother. Hell yeah. So if you look the way Oklahoma's played for the first 3 games, Billy Connolly of ESPN, who's beyond reproach when it comes to his advanced stats, he has them as a top 5 team, and I've made it a point to watch at least the last 2, because if I'm going to go out on a line, I have to get this on the parlay. I want to make sure I was watching it. I just don't see, I think they crush Cincinnati in their debut to the Big 12. I think it's a rude awakening, like the great ravishing Rick Rude. Okay? He's going to have one. Hit the music. That's Rick Rude.
I'll go with mine, South Carolina money line. If you guys want to get we had to change it because it's not available state by state, but there is a special South Carolina money line, and both teams have scored at least 10 points that you can add. It's not available state by state, so we're just going with South Carolina money line over Mississippi State. I am just not loving what I'm seeing at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, this stat's going to be totally wrong, so I'm obviously not looking at my notes here, but Mississippi State went, it was 17 plays in their last game without getting positive yards. That is something that you can't get behind. This passing attack's not good. I think South Carolina, they bounced back in a big way. That game against Georgia, some people might say it might be a letdown for them. I think that's different. I think the coach they have, the players on that team, it gives them an opportunity to kind of say, we proved that we are a team that is here to stay. South Carolina money line for me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I hated everything I saw at Mississippi State last week. I texted Brad and said, I can't believe I put them in my money line sprinkles. This team is atrocious. We almost hit 3 out of 3 last week, but I'm going to go with UMass money line. Eric, they covered last week. They almost get with a victory. It was a road game for them, though, which is tough. But guess what? They're at home today against New Mexico, the Lobos. And if they win this game, not only do they beat the Lobos, but they also beat the Aggies of New Mexico State, meaning that now UMass owns the state of New Mexico, which could happen here. But the Minutemen, if they need a script to beat New Mexico, they just look at last week because New Mexico State met, okay, and New Mexico State won that game by 10. So there's ways for UMass to beat them. They're at home and they're favored, which I think is a significant meaning there behind that. So, that's the last leg of our People's Parlay, plus 333, which are angel numbers. It's got to be good luck. That means Eric's in the People's Parlay next week, right?
Yes, Eric's in the People's Parlay. X, I'm going to answer this question. What do we think of McCord? 1 passing touchdown, Hartman 1 passing touchdown each half. Plus 750. It's hard for me to talk anybody off plus 750, right? But I just believe that if
each half,
I just believe that if Ohio State's scoring a ton of touchdowns, I don't think McCord's going to be doing both through the air. I think they're going to be doing a lot on the ground. I just think that Notre Dame's secondary is just so good, and they're going, and this is part of the reason why I end up taking Stover too. I didn't explain this, but they're going to want to keep everything in front of them. They don't want guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. Or Mbuka to go over the top. So it makes sense, but Dart Shapiro, Mark Shapiro here on the put it up here. He's asking, who would I start? Jackson Dart or JJ McCarthy. I have both of them in my longtime home league, as some of the guys who are listening will tell you. I am team Dart for this one. I know that McCarthy's more safe, but Dart runs. So respect. We are at 11:45 here, so I want to make sure, some of you guys got on Twitter and reminded me that we can't be giving the best bet segment late. I gave it too late last week. Some of you guys missed a couple of my plays, specifically I think Chandler Morris, and that is not what I want to see from my fellow followers here. So I'm going to go we're going to have a domino. We're going to go, quick, rapid fire. So Devin Leary, Kentucky, over 237.5 passing yards. Guys are playing Vandy
291 a game they gave up last year. And then arguably their secondary's worse this season. I think you can make that case. Wake Forest went and just bowled them over. They didn't have to throw too much on them there. But this is the Liam Cohen is back, reunited, and it feels so good with that Kentucky team. 2 years ago when he was in there, he made Will Levis into a second-round quarterback. He left. Will Levis was still a second-round quarterback even after Cohen left. He's back. They cleared this number. I mean, literally blew this away the last 2 games. And now they're playing Vandy. That's a piece of cake. Give me that under all day. Excuse me, that over all day. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to go with Cam Porter, 44.5 rushing yards. A true all-star. Cam Porter, show all-star. We cashed twice on him so far this year. It was 61.5 last week. Bless his heart. This week, 44.5, but you're playing Minnesota, okay? Does it get any slower than Minnesota's pace? It really doesn't, okay? They want to run Darius Taylor 35 times if they can. And if they do, they're going to just try to suffocate Northwestern. I'm not a Cam Porter guy. I think you have some young guys in that group. We have a new coach who they're going to want to get some looks. Give me Cam Porter's under. You got Devontae Houston, UConn running back, under 44.5 rushing yards. First 2 weeks, Mr. Houston had, I believe, 33 combined yards. Yeah. Against Georgia State, solid Georgia State team. We saw him take out CCU and NC State. Okay, so a couple decent teams. They're not powerhouses. Last week against FIU, who was legitimately the worst team in FBS. Last year they were. Probably are this year again. He went and had his salad day where he went for $120. This is going to be a recorrection, okay? Here they are this week playing against Mike Elko and the Duke Blue Devils. This isn't – you're going to give me an FIU adjusted line at 44.5 when you got 31 in the first 2 games? Give me that under Devontae Houston. Give me some Victor Rosa, all right? I want some Victor Rosa.
Amari Daniels, over or under?
Amari Daniels, I am going under on Amari Daniels, 59.5 rushing yards. And we're going to go – because, again, Texas A&M, you got 3 good running backs there. Le'Veon Moss. This year, top 3 running back, Reuben Owens, all right? We saw them all sort of split carries last game. I think last game was just a boat race. I think that was sort of a changing in the guard. You're going to see a much more even carry distribution, and they're playing Auburn, who, as we know, we want to run a little bit with Robbie Ashford and that 2-headed QB tandem, taking the under. And then lastly, over Roman Wilson.
Wow, it's only 53.5.
53.5.
Wow.
Destroyed that twice this year.
Yeah.
The only time he didn't was last week against Bowling Green. It was, slow-paced. That was just that game against Michigan. They're going to come back out here in a game that is against Rutgers, which has a decent defense, so they'll have to try.
Yes.
He's going to blow away 53.5. So that is – I hope everybody gets that in. Yeah, we got 10 minutes.
Okay, let's talk about Oklahoma State at Iowa State. Iowa State a 3-point favorite, total set at 36.5. Vaughn, do your magic on this one.
Yeah, we're doing with a total of 36.5. We're going under 9 times out of 10. And this is a game where both offenses are ranking 100th, 120th, rushing offense, passing offense, scoring offense. Nothing good. The Cowboys have started 3 different quarterbacks. That's Oklahoma State so far. 3 different guys have led the team in passing. Iowa State, obviously, much better defensive team. We saw that a few times already this season. But both teams, very good third down defenses, better than what the third down offenses are. And we've seen 45, 45, and 34 points in the last 3 meetings of these teams. We might see less than 34 points scored here. So I'm going there. And with my final pick for the show, you kind of touched on this, Eric. Minnesota Northwestern, the pace of play in this game is going to be like a turtle. All right, it's going to be terrible. The total actually ticked up from 38.5 to 39.5, which doesn't scare me at all. So officially, people on the show get a better bet than what I got. And I didn't even play the 39.5 because I don't need the extra point. These 2 teams have terrible offenses and much better defenses, and we know that. We've seen that for the past couple of years. And Minnesota struggled to score 13 in their 2 biggest games, Nebraska and North Carolina. Last year they had 31 on this game. They won't score 31 here. So we're going under in Minnesota at Northwestern and the under in Oklahoma State at Iowa State, which are 2 of the 3 lowest totals on the board today.
I think the only 2 that we didn't have that I had, Nebraska minus 20. I'm so sorry that we missed the 19s. The show, the betting big didn't come out early enough, but I still like it at minus 20. Some books are hanging minus 21s right now. So make sure you shop your lines there. It's just this is domination on the line of scrimmage here. I actually liked what Nebraska did to Northern Illinois, limited it to under 150 total yards, under 26 rushing yards. Louisiana Tech and our favorite fade, Hank Bachmeier, will be fun to get a lot of pressure on him. I'd probably take his rushing yards under if they offered them, but I don't think they do. And then the other one's the Maryland over.
Bachmeier ain't playing today.
He's out?
He's out. Or he's emergency QB.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. That actually makes me more excited. That's probably why the line moves so fast then. And then Maryland over 53.5. That total should come down. I know someone asked about this game here. Maryland is 2-1 to the over so far this season. The one not hitting was against Towson, where it was 38-6. Maryland let a true freshman quarterback just throw all over them until it got late in the game. And I'd imagine that Noah Kim is going to have a better outing. But let's talk about Michigan State. Michigan State allowed 40 points and 300 yards in the first half against Washington. Not saying that Taulia Tagovailoa is a Michael Penix Jr., but this is a pass-first offense, and they play with tremendous pace under Mike Locksley. I think we see points. Redemption game for Michigan State as well.
I love that. I definitely think there'll be no defense play from either squad, especially in the secondaries. But Tagovailoa, whatever his passing prop is, it's probably a good bet to the over. He should probably go for
270 now. It's 270 now. Last week it was
only 270.
I think it was up to 279 in some places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are we gonna squad ride 2 or something here? Like, are we gonna discuss this a little more?
I'd have to think about
2 in
that.
one show. Whoa.
I'd have to think about it. I like it, but I would rather target some wide receivers. Do you have any more plays that you haven't got out yet, Eric?
Oh, me? No, actually, I think I got the full boat out.
Okay,
guys.
let's talk about moneyline sprinkles then. I'm moneyline sprinkling Notre Dame and Ole Miss. With the Notre Dame game, I talked about it. Like, this is an overlay. I wish it was closer to plus 160, but that number's gone. If you have two teams that are a coin flip, especially with the team at home, and you're getting plus money, you don't have to win as much. I'd like get closer to like a 10% edge. I don't think we have that much of an edge this one. I'd say like 5%, which is why it's not an official play, but it's still pretty good plus EV. And then Ole Miss, this number has stayed pretty straight at plus 195. This one is closer to I think it's 8% edge. I don't have the number, but I would still say that it's tough to win on the road, but almost 2-1 on your money against a team that I think is better, or at least playing better at the moment. So those are my money line sprinkles. Go ahead and give me yours, guys. Go first, Vaughn.
Yeah, I got 3 of them. I just added one this morning. That was Colorado, because I can't not play Colorado. I thought about this on Bet the Edge. I mentioned on Thursday's episode with the well capper that the 5 games they're going to have against ranked opponents, they're going to be really big underdogs for the most part, unless they win this Oregon game. So at this point, the best bet is probably honestly sprinkling some money lines on those 5 games. You're going to make a profit no matter what. That's the reason behind playing the Buffaloes today. Notre Dame, already mentioned that tons in the show. We think they have the edges in a lot of areas of their home team. You guys are there. You're going to see Marcus Freeman's signature win of his young career. And then I took Washington State as well. They've won 4 straight at home against Oregon State, 7 of the last 8 meetings overall. Great quarterback play. The defense gets after it. As long as they don't get sacked 6 times like they did last year in this matchup, they will be fine. Eric, Fay in Alabama, I like it, my man.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I mean, a lot of it has to do with, Alabama's currency as being Alabama for so many years. But look, this team just isn't quite as talented as we've been accustomed to. We've talked about Jalen Milroe, I think, ad nauseum. Obviously, we have an Ole Miss team that has a pretty good defense, has some weapons. There aren't a lot of weapons on this Alabama team that has really been proven, and that's the offensive line that's very, inexperienced. I think there's a lot of factors here that are pointing in Ole Miss's favor. And when you're getting 2-1 money, I think that's a good investment.
I want to give out my I know people have asked about the Colorado odds boost that FanDuel's offering. I went with Troy Franklin, 100 plus receiving yards, Bo Nix, 325 plus passing yards, Colorado plus 21.5, Shedeur Sanders plus 325.5. Odds are 12-1, 25 wins, 309. There was one more that I wanted to give. That one. Sorry, that one was for yesterday. That's all of them.
That's a wrap.
That's
a wrap. Any questions in the chat for you guys? Make sure to get them in now. We can
run Marty. We got one from Marty. He was asking about Tavion Robinson at 47.5 as a pairing with the Devin Leary recommendation. I mean, you got Keys, you got Dane Key, obviously you got Barry and Brown, but they're the outside guys, and Tavion is the slot receiver that we saw Wandale Robinson really excel at with Cohen over that 2-year period he was together with him. I think that makes a lot of sense. And look, playing against Vandy, I mean, I can't take an over and under, on receivers when it comes to their passing attack, their pass defense. So, yeah, I would be over. I wouldn't be comfortable taking any receiving unders against Vandy.
Right there with them.
Man, this has been fun. I think we have another comment. Let's see. Best cover team this season, Texas State. Oh my God, they are. Texas State has been the team. Texas State and Georgia State have been the two cover monsters so far this season.
Yeah, it's because of TJ Finley. Everybody in my college fantasy leagues keep asking me for TJ Finley. I've been getting a lot of offers because Malik Hornsby was supposed to be the guy, and he can't throw a forward pass. Remember that, everyone in college fantasy land. Yeah. Do not fall in love with running quarterbacks. There's always a quarterback with a better arm that's waiting that the head coach wants to put in. So be very careful with them. So I'm in on Texas State though. And I was in on Finley preseason. I'm so thrilled about it.
Man, okay, let's just ask. Just round the horn real quick. You guys don't have to have a bet, but just tell me, pick a side to win. Florida State or Clemson, Vaughn?
Florida State. They break the losing streak against Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going Florida State too. It's just they've embraced the portal. If you aren't going to embrace the portal in the portal era, then you're going to be stuck and not being able to fill the holes that you have. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Florida State.
I'm going with Florida State as well. I think if anybody wants to play an alt line, they have a little extra money left over before the game starts. I would take Johnny Wilson. But I wait till literally like 3 minutes before because I didn't say the bet. Johnny Wilson, 100 plus receiving yards. I would wait till right before the game because the number's going down. I don't really care about the number going down. Like, I get why it's going down, but when you're playing an alt line, like, you're asking for more anyway. I think Johnny Wilson he's like a 60-yarder or 110 yards. Like, there's no in between that. Like, I think you're just getting more value there.
Good call by Calvin Wetzel on the chat. Roman Wilson is at 50.5 at FanDuel right now. So that's even 3 yards.
What time is that game? That feels like a 12 o'clock game, doesn't it?
I love getting the extra yards there. 3 free ones. So if you have FanDuel access, you could give that a look as well. Well done, Calvin.
Calvin, thank you.
Well done, my brother.
Also want to thank everyone else in the chat. With that said, make sure you tune in next week. We'll have more bets. If you could drop a like, drop a follow, drop a repost. We really appreciate it. For Eric Froton, Vaughn Dalzell, I am Brad Thomas. Have fun, enjoy the sweats, and best of luck.